All right, everyone, welcome to the Simply Soccer Podcast. We're doing this outside again, so if you hear birds chirping or, I don't know, typical outside noises, that's the reason. It's just nice outside right now. It's a very nice temperature, a very nice day, kind of like the evenings, so I thought I would just do it out here. So I want to talk about a few things today. We should have had a live stream yesterday as like an update. Sorry for not getting those out regularly. Remember, this is like a one-man operation at the moment. You know, I do pretty much everything for the channel, you know, coming up with the ideas, creating the content, organizing it all, doing all the social media work and everything. So sometimes, you know, things come up where I have to prioritize certain things over other things, and this time it was I had to prioritize something over the live stream, and you know, there are like things in my regular life that tie in as well, which sometimes I have to make a decision. So hopefully I did do it Saturday. I'm actually recording this before that, so you know, just making sure. I want to make sure I did it. So today I want to talk about a few things. I want to talk about rewards and punishments. We've been, I think recently, especially in podcasts, we've been talking a lot about discipline. We've been talking about habits. You know, it's a topic I really enjoy. You know, I've even thought about making a new YouTube channel to do along with Simply Soccer to discuss a lot of these self-development and self-improvement ideas. The only way I would do it is if I don't have to cut back on Simply Soccer to do it, so I'd be able to do both. But I don't know if I'll be doing that or not. But I want to stick with that trend today by going over rewards and punishments. I want to go over how you can take your habits seriously, because you need to be serious about it to actually develop them, or how you can take your growth seriously, but not too seriously, because I think there's a limit to it. I think there's a point where you take it so seriously to the point where you get way too hard on yourself, and you start expecting these things that you can't possibly meet, and it actually becomes a hindrance. So we're going to talk about that. And then something that's completely not on those topics, or a bit off topic from those things, but is, you know, on topic as far as the channel is concerned, is preparing for your fall season, which many of you are going to have school soccer coming up in the fall, whether it's for whatever level, high school, middle school, maybe you have club soccer in the fall. And I want to just go over, you know, how to prepare for those seasons. Now, as I'm recording this, the day it's coming out, you'll have about 2 months to prepare. So I'm going to be talking about it from that perspective. If you're listening to this later and you only have like a few weeks or something, not all of the stuff will apply, but some of it will be helpful. Now, I did just release a video, I think on Friday, on how to make your soccer high school team, or essentially how to make your school team and how to prepare. Again, with a 2 month, basically, when we're thinking on a 2 month time frame. So you have some tips from that video, and I just want to go in depth and emphasize some points that I made in that video. But let's get into the first thing, which is rewards and punishments. And I think someone left a comment about how to make sure you're sticking with your habits and how to make sure you're basically following through, because I think a problem many players have, or many people have, is they're trying to develop a habit or a behavior on a consistent basis that they know will help them to become better, or to do something better, or be more efficient, or it's just something they want to develop. So like if it's the habit of working out, you know, you're developing that either because you love doing it or you want a certain result. You know, that's why we develop habits deliberately usually, is we know it's going to help us move closer to a certain goal or give us a certain result. That's usually why we want to develop them. So let's go over how rewards and punishments can help you to do that. Now, when you first think of rewards and punishments, you think of like how a parent will do that with a kid. And I want you to not think of it in that way, because, you know, you don't want to be babying yourself. But rewards and punishments is a very powerful tool you can use in order to motivate yourself and encourage yourself to follow through with something and to not give up at something. And you have to do this in a strategic way, and this is going to apply differently for everyone, because everyone has a different thing that drives them or motivates them. Like a certain reward for me may not necessarily work for someone else. You have to choose things when it comes to your rewards and punishments that work for you. So for example, for your rewards, it has to be something that you would actually want, that's actually worth doing whatever the habit is in order to obtain that reward. Same for punishments. The punishments have to be things you don't want, which will encourage you to actually follow through with a certain behavior or habit. So what you need to do is you can do this on a small scale or a large scale, and I'm going to go over both. So let's say it's a reward. Now, I think a really good reward, if you're someone who's used to watching TV or video games and you still want to play video games, you still want to watch TV, but you want to make sure that you're doing the important stuff first. Like, you want to make sure you're, doing your habits and things, and you find that video games or TV or things of that nature is actually distracting you and preventing you from doing your habits and stuff. Remember, you have a limited amount of energy each day, so you want to do the most important stuff first. What you can do is you can actually set up a reward system for yourself, and you have to be disciplined in doing this, but for yourself, where you can say, okay, if I complete all these tasks or these habits, I'll reward myself with an hour of this game, or 30 minutes of Netflix, or something along those lines. Now, that's not going to work for everyone. Like, for me, that doesn't always work. Sometimes it works. Like, if there's a show, I don't watch too much TV, but there are two shows in particular I like to watch when they're out, and that's Silicon Valley and Game of Thrones. So I know when those shows are going on, I can use those as rewards. I can say, okay, if you do all of this, you can watch this. Or, I don't really play many video games, but if I had a video game, for example, that I really liked, I deliberately don't really even have a video game system like an Xbox One or PS4 or anything like that, because I know it will distract me. In fact, I used to have an Xbox One or an Xbox 360, I should say, my friend lent me, and I had Skyrim on it, and I gave it back to him because I was like, I'm getting way too distracted by this. But if I did have something like that and I want to use it as a reward, I might say, okay, if I get all of this stuff that's on my list that I have to do today done, later today I'll give myself an hour of this. And you can do it for, like, if you do everything throughout the day, you get the reward, or you could even do it like, okay, if I do an hour and a half of this work, I'll give myself a little 15-minute break and watch an episode of something that's 15 minutes. Maybe, like a cartoon, like I don't know, SpongeBob or something. That's one of my favorite shows when I was a kid, is the early SpongeBob stuff. I actually have the first 3 seasons on DVD. So that would be something I could do. I could be like, okay, if I complete this hour and a half work for my break for 15 minutes, I can watch one of my SpongeBob episodes or something, okay? So it works like that. But the important thing is you're not giving yourself these things unless you're following through with these habits. Because if you just go, you know what, screw it, I'm not gonna do that today, I'll just watch TV anyway, it ruins this whole system, because then you get used to the fact that, oh, well, either way, I'm gonna watch the show. It has to be to where the reward can actually become the punishment as well. Meaning, if you don't, like, you're thinking about that reward you're gonna get, if you don't follow through, the punishment to you can be like, you don't get that reward. So let's say you really wanna play Skyrim, or I don't know what the game is these days. You really wanna play FIFA, but you don't get your work done, you make sure you don't let yourself play it. Actually feel how that feels to resist playing that because you didn't follow through on something. Because if you go ahead and play it anyway, it kind of ruins this whole process. You might as well not have a reward and punishment system. So that's a way you can actually make the reward both a reward and the lack of that reward a punishment. Okay, so you got to figure out what that is for you, but definitely find something that would be worth it to you, to where it would motivate you to actually get the work done because you're excited about doing whatever the reward is. But also something that if you didn't get to do it, you'd be a little upset. You'd be like, I really want to do this. And that's going to push you also to do it. Now, you can do punishments in the sense of, I don't know, maybe an extra workout that's not too fun. Maybe you say, okay, I got to do this homework early. If you can get creative with this. But we'll get into how you can use punishments on a larger scale in a second. So for bigger goals, you can make bigger rewards and you can have harsher punishments. And again, you want these things to be rewards that it would be awesome to get that reward. And you want them to be punishments that you absolutely don't want to have happen. So a good example is, like, I made a 30-day challenge, which actually I'm doing for 90 days, of essentially abstaining not from social media completely, but kind of cutting back from distractions. So where I'm not allowed to browse things unless it's with a purpose. So for example, I'm not allowed to just browse the Facebook newsfeed, and if I catch myself doing it, I have to get out of it right away, or else I have to give into this punishment. And my punishment was shaving my head. Now, I don't want to shave my head. So that punishment's enough to motivate me to not want to go against the habits I'm trying to create. Now, again, there's some leniency there, like if I'm doing it mindlessly, but my thing is, as soon as I realize, I have like 5 seconds to get out of it. So that's an example of a punishment you can give yourself, which is a bigger punishment for a larger goal you're trying to achieve, but will motivate you to push through. It doesn't have to be something like that. It's just it can be, you know, some people do money. They do like, if I don't complete this, I will donate a certain amount of money to charity. I know there's a very famous comedian, or he's now like a transformation coach, where he was like, I'm going to go raw vegan for 3 months. And he said this to his audience, so he had accountability. He's like, okay guys, I'm telling you this is day 1. I'm going to go raw vegan, and you know, this doesn't matter what the thing is. For him it was that. He said, I'm going to go raw vegan, and if I eat like one cooked thing in the next 90 days, I will donate $10,000 to some charity. Now he doesn't want to, like, it's not a moral thing with whether he or not he wants to donate. It's that he doesn't want to have to lose $10,000. The fear of loss motivates him to actually follow through. So the way he put it was, now I understood, if I ate a cookie, like if someone, and my brain's like, oh, it's just one cookie, what's the damage going to be? That cookie suddenly, instead of just being a regular cookie, is now a $10,000 cookie, because if I ate it, it would have cost me $10,000. See how it's more motivating in that way? Because you're like, okay, I could have the cookie, which would kind of start you on a downward spiral to going against the habit you're trying to create. But to him, it was like, well, if I eat this, you know, that's against what I'm doing, and I said I would donate $10,000, meaning this is a $10,000 cookie. Is it worth it? No, it's not. So that's one way you can do it on a larger scale. And you can do that for anything. So you could be like, I'm going to work out consistently on these days for 3 months, and you could do something similar. Like, and if I don't, I will, I don't know, dye my hair a certain color. I don't know what it is with hair with me, but, or shave my head. I don't know what it is for you. Again, it has to be something that's motivating to you. Now for rewards, you can work at the other end of the spectrum. So maybe you like video games and there's this new system you want, or maybe this new game you want. You could do the same thing. You could be like, let's use workout again. Let's say, okay, I'm going to stick with this workout plan. I'm not going to miss a single workout. I'm going to commit to this, and if I pull it off, I'll buy myself that new game console, or I'll buy myself that game I really want, right? It's a reward that motivates yourself to get there. Now the important thing again is, if you don't make it, do not buy the thing anyway. Don't go, oh, well, I tried, and then buy the thing, because it ruins the power of this, right? You have to keep the power in this. You have to keep the motivation in this. So you have to be strategic with rewards and punishments, and you have to be disciplined with them, but it's a great motivator. And if you can work a system for yourself that allows you to do it in that kind of way, you will start accomplishing a lot more. Again, you can't break the system, meaning if for example, we'll use just one day. So like I'll say I have a list of things I need to get done, and I say, okay, if I finish all these things, I'll watch an hour of Netflix. If you don't finish all those things and watch an hour of Netflix anyway, you've ruined the whole thing. You've ruined the whole system, meaning you might as well not have a reward punishment system at that point, because you're breaking the system at that point. So you can't do it like that. You have to actually follow through, meaning if you don't, like if you're like, okay, if I eat unhealthy today, I don't get to watch Netflix. If I eat healthy today, I get to watch Netflix or something like that. If you didn't eat unhealthy and you can't watch it, you got to discipline yourself and be like, okay, I can't do it today. Let's work on this tomorrow, if that makes sense, okay? So that's how to use, like a very basic way of using rewards and punishments. And there are other ways you can do it. I highly recommend Googling rewards and punishments system, because there will be certain ideas that are probably a little more articulated in a better way than what I'm giving you here, that will help you to develop a system that you're comfortable with or works for you, because not every system is going to work the same for everyone. So you want to make sure you're finding something that works for you. So definitely Google that for rewards and punishments type system that you can use. Something I used to use, and I don't know if I'll do it again, but I might start doing it again, because I actually found it quite helpful when done right. There's this game called Habitica. It's an app you can get on your phone or computer, or your computer, and it's actually a game of creating habits and behaviors. It's like an RPG. Actually, now thinking about it, I'm getting quite excited thinking about it. I might start doing it again, because I actually found it really helpful. And what it does is it punishes you or rewards you in the game based on if you're following through with your habits or not. And the cool thing is, a lot of people use this. It's like an RPG game. So you grow in level the more good things you do, and you start losing things the more bad things you do. And there's actually a bunch of stuff you can do. It's really, really cool. So if you're like someone who really likes games, and you think you would like a rewards and punishment system based off of that, check out Habitica.com. It's great. I mean, I always recommend it for people trying to create habits who like that kind of system. It's actually funny because I tried making my own little game just for myself when I was first trying out habits, where I just had like on a sheet of paper experience points, and if I followed through on certain things, I gave myself experience points. But it was really tedious because I was just writing everything down. Then I found Habitica, and it was all just systemized. It was all put into a system and a game, and it's really fun. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you, definitely check that out. I definitely recommend that as a way to use rewards and punishment to your benefit and develop habits doing it. Okay, next thing, since we're talking about habit creation, since we're talking about behaviors, good behaviors that are going to help you, let's talk about taking habits seriously but not too seriously. So one sec. So I think everyone hits this point, maybe not, I mean that's a generalization if I ever heard one, but I think a lot of people hit this point when they find their self on the self-development path or self-help or whatever you want to call it. They find a point where they get really, really, really into it and they take it super seriously to the point where it's at a fault. You need to be taking this seriously, but not so serious to the point where it's affecting other areas in a negative way or to where you're getting stressed out about it. And I used to do this, like I would have habits and I would have like things I was trying to do and challenges, and I would really ruin my momentum if, say, I missed a day. What you really want to get into is developing these habits and everything, but not getting too upset at yourself if you miss something, right? Because you're human, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna miss a day or two here. I still do to this day where I'll miss a day, and I've missed longer than a day before. The important thing I've learned is to bounce back. It's like when you're in a game, actually, in a football match, the advice I give you when you make a mistake, you don't get super serious about that and allow it to affect you to the point where it affects the rest of your game. You relax and you bounce back from the mistake, and you can analyze it later. And this goes for this as well. If you're trying to create a habit and you miss a day, maybe you figure out why you missed that day. Maybe it was you need to do the habit earlier in the day. Maybe it's you need to do it at a different time. Maybe it's you need to do something else before it that helps you get in the mood for it. You need to figure that out, but don't get super serious about that, because the more pressure you put on yourself for missing a day or, not following through on something, the more harder it's going to get on you. And again, there's a balance here, because you want to be a little hard on yourself because you don't want to be missing days. Like if you miss a day at the gym and you just go, whatever, you're not taking it seriously enough. But if you miss a day and you get so down on yourself, and then it's just a downward spiral, and you start eating junk and you miss another day and another day, that's not a place you want to be either. You want to be in a place where you have a balance, where you take it seriously and go, okay, I can't be missing days, but what can I learn from this? Or I can't be missing days, but I'm not going to get so super down. I'm going to follow through with everything else I need to do today and then get back at it tomorrow. So that's just a little thing I wanted to throw in there, because that's something I had to learn, because in the early days I took it way too seriously. I took myself too seriously, I think, what is the key idea here. And, you just need to relax sometimes, and just realize that mistakes are going to happen. You're going to fall off the path sometimes, your path that you're kind of building and cultivating. And sometimes you just need to recognize not to take it too seriously, to relax, to, reconnect, to recalibrate, whatever you need to do, and then keep going. Because one of the things I'm sometimes still have to get over this is I'll miss a day and I'll think that's the end of the world, right? Because I'm taking it way too seriously. And I think the best thing to do in that situation is just take a step back, to relax, to recognize it's in the past, and then just to move forward. So if you miss a workout, for example, again, don't take it super serious. Don't be light on yourself. Don't go, okay, that's fine to miss a workout. If you're committed to getting in shape, that is. Don't say that. But, tell yourself, okay, let's only do what's within our control. Let's not get super upset about it, because if we do, that's just going to affect, workouts that I would have potentially done in the future. So let's just do everything else we need to do from this point on and get back at it tomorrow. Okay, sometimes you just need to tell yourself that. Just want to throw that in there. Sorry, there's like a bug in my throat or something. Okay, so we got about 10 minutes to talk about this topic, which is perfect, which is preparing for the fall season. And of course, I had the video that we released, it would have been about 2 days ago now. It would have been on the Friday, on how to make your high school team. And essentially I talk about this because you have about 2 months from this point on until high school Soccer starts here in the States. I don't know in other countries if your school season starts in the fall, but over here it usually starts, it actually usually starts in August, like mid-August to late August, and then carries on into the fall. But I just want to go over how you can prepare for this season. Well, if you're listening to this now, like it's June still, and you're listening to this, I really want you to start preparing now. Because I think one of the mindsets, like when you realize your season's coming up, you're like, okay, I've got a bit of time, you know, don't worry, I'll get into it. It's never too early to start. It really isn't. It's never too early to get in shape. It's never too early to start working on your game. Yes, you can have a little bit of relaxation and rest, and you actually need rest. But if you want to be one of the players that comes into your tryout fully prepared, fully ready to go, fully ready to get a starting spot or at least game time, you want to be one of the players coming in shape. And this is, I think, a couple seasons in high school where I didn't do this correctly, where I did not come into the season as prepared as I needed to be. I wasn't like completely unprepared. I usually would still play every day, but I wouldn't focus on like stuff like fitness and the things I needed to focus on. It's not enough just to play every day. You want to be doing that as well, but I was playing in a non-deliberate way. Like I was playing just because I love to play, which is great, but I also should have worked deliberately on certain things that would have helped me prepare better. So that's what you want to make sure you're doing. Now, one of the best ways to do this, and I mentioned it in that video, and I just want to really emphasize it here, is you want to get a proven system. And this goes for most things as well. You know, there's so much information out there now. There's so much just, you know, stuff swimming around, and there's a lot of good information out there. And here's, you know, I hear a lot that there's a lot of crap information, and there's a lot of information out there that you want to avoid. But, you know, once you start going down the self-development path and you start learning a lot more, you start to weed out the things, you know, that aren't legit, for lack of a better term. But even among, and here's the big thing, even among information that's good, only a fraction of that is going to actually apply to you because everyone's different. So even among the information coming from people that's actually really good information, really good advice, you can only focus on so much, right? So there could be like 10 different systems or ideas you're trying to follow, and all of these systems were created by people who have good intentions, who know what they're talking about, whose systems work. But if you're focusing on too much at once, if your focus is spread thin, you're not going to get any results. So what you want to do this summer is find a proven system, one system, not 5, not 3, one system, one training system that you can do and stick with it. Because this is a problem I used to fall into. Like I would get like this, I don't know, there's probably a name for it, where I wanted to get the new thing and then the next new thing and then the next new thing, like program after I still have this problem to a certain extent when it comes to self-development because I'm always buying courses and programs. And now I've told myself, just stop. Just stop it. Focus on the ones you have now. Complete those programs. Get everything you can out of those programs and then move on. But pick one program, a proven system. It's important that it's a proven one. Look at the reviews. Look at the testimonials. Look at the results. Usually a system will provide you with those, like it'll show you testimonials, and just do your research on a program. You know, there are certain like YouTubers that have programs. Like I would say, for example, you can trust certain people. I would say, like, I know Matt Sheldon from Become Elite, and I don't even know the guy, so this is not like a plug where I'm saying Matt told me to say this. I've never met him. But the dude knows what he's talking about as far, you know, he's a professional player. He has many, you know, I remember he came out with a new thing recently. Something is like Become 90 or Elite 90, something along those lines. You know, and I think I looked at the price and it's very affordable. So like there's an example of a proven system. Like it was like, I forget how much it was, but I looked at the price and went, wow. For something he's been developing, I think for maybe a year, maybe 6 months, I'm not sure how long, that's a really affordable price. So a lot of you would be able to afford that. So there's your proven system. You know, people like him, there are other people, I don't know, like other people I like channels, for example, I like Will John. I don't know if he actually has any training programs, but it's worth looking into. Progressive Soccer. Michael Cunningham. What's this? I always get his, it's like 7MLCR or something. I keep forgetting his channel actual name. It's hard to remember. It's like, it's something 7MLC. Michael. Something like that. I don't know if he has a program or not either. But what I'm saying is find someone you trust, find someone who has a proven system that you know, maybe you know someone who's gone through one of the programs and they're like, yeah, dude, this works. And get it. And then follow that system. That really takes out so much of the guesswork from yourself, because if you do trial and error, you will eventually come across the right thing, but it could take you years. Maybe you'll get lucky and it'll only take you months, but it could take you years through trial and error to come to the same conclusion that you would already find in a system, right? You know, I think there's a famous saying, it's something like, you don't want to learn off your own mistakes, you want to learn from the mistakes that others before you have made. Now, that's not saying that you shouldn't learn from the mistakes you do make, but what it's saying is, before you make that mistake, has anyone else made that mistake? Has anyone else tried what you're about to do? And what were the results they got from it? So you want to be learning from what other people have done. So that's where a proven system comes in, because usually a proven system is developed through the trial and error the creator has gone through, or through trial and error the creator has seen someone else go through, for example, right? So you want to find that kind of system. And again, I've already given you some Progressive Soccer, Become Elite. They both have training programs. I don't know if they both have like summer specific stuff, but I think at least one of them does, most likely. So see if you can find something that's specifically for the off season during the summer, for your preseason during later summer, right? Find a proven system. Again, I mentioned this briefly in the video, but I really want to mention it here because it's so important. You want to maximize your results. You want to get to the point, like you have 2 months, if you're listening to this right now, to get ready for your season. If you bought a proven system today and you followed what it said and you worked as hard as you can within that system, you would be more than prepared come your tryout or preseason for your school team or club team come late August. You would be more than prepared as long as you put in the work. Now the system, again, the system can show you what to do, and this is for any system that actually works and it's a proven system. The system will show you what to do, but then it's your job to put in the work, the hard work, right? It's that, like that famous saying, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, or you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. That's the same thing. The system will bring you to the water, and then it's your job to actually start to drink, which is to actually put in the work, to actually dedicate the time to becoming better, to, you know, instead of watching TV or hanging out with your friends every single day or playing video games, to actually train and to actually put in the work. And guys, I'm telling you, it will pay off when you come into your preseason, when you come into your tryout in the fall, in late August, completely prepared, right? And if your high school was anything like mine was, not every player came in prepared. I would say less than half of even the varsity team came in off the back of a really good summer training program. You know, we had camps and stuff, but not many players came in off the back of playing every day, of training deliberately to be ready for the season. So if you can come in, and there'll be high schools that do have players like that, but make sure if that's the case, you're one of those players. Make sure that you are coming in 2 months ahead of everyone else, or 2 months ahead of the players that weren't really doing much. Okay, so don't think of your training starting when the preseason rolls around. Get a head start on it. Again, the best way is get that proven system. I can't emphasize that enough. So hopefully I've convinced you to get a system. Again, I'm not affiliated with any of the people I mentioned. I don't get any money or anything for saying this. I'm just trying to give you like a direction to go in. I'm just trying to kind of, you know, show you, well, not show you, but kind of tell you that if you get into one of these systems, it'll work, right? So I really have nothing to gain from this in any way. So hopefully that's enough for you to trust me and go out and get one of those things. And again, there's affordable ones, and then there's better, like if you can afford a much more advanced one where it's like step by step, great. If not, again, like I've seen really affordable, I've seen ones for like $30, $40, $50, which is not much for a program that's going to help you improve massively. And I've also seen ones that are in the hundreds. You know, there's different levels of it. But again, do your research on it, and then, you know, get the system and work as hard as you can within that system. All right, guys, I think that will do it. We've hit about 30 minutes. I think we did a really good job on this podcast. Yeah, if you haven't actually checked out the video on how to make your high school soccer team, check it out, because there are some other ideas in there that are going to help you to make sure you're ready by the time they tryouts roll around. Even if you're not in high school or not going into high school, or you're beyond high school, or not, you know, you're not old enough for high school yet. I would still check out that video because that was just the title. I was directed more towards high school players, but a lot of the stuff will apply to anyone that's looking to, stand out at tryouts or to actually get game time on their team. All right, guys, so thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Let's do a hashtag. I already know what it is. It's going to be hashtag proven system. And again, if you put the hashtag in the comments, it lets me know that you listened all the way through this. And I just like to get a clear indication of who's listening to these all the way through. It kind of lets me know who's actually serious about learning and improving themselves and getting better. So it's actually a big deal to me. So even if you don't have a question or a comment, put in the comments hashtag proven system so I know that you listened all the way. If you do have a question you want answered or a topic for a future podcast, if you put hashtag proven system, it's much more likely I'll answer it because I want to be answering the questions from the players who are actually listening all the way through these podcasts. I know there are people who will come on here, listen to 2 minutes and just be like, oh, he's not going to answer the question I want him to answer, so I'm just going to ask my question anyway. I'd much rather answer the questions from the players who are listening all the way through. So put that in there with any comments, questions, or even if you don't have them, put it in there anyway. Thanks so much for listening. We'll have another podcast next week, probably on the usual day of Saturday, just because things got moved around this week, but we'll probably be doing it then. Thanks so much, and I will talk to you later in the next podcast, or I'll see you in the next video.